is Mike Madness! Welcome to this edition of Mike Madness, and on this episode we're going to talk about one thing and one thing only. One of the best times of the year for a sports fan, March Madness. On this segment of the show, we're going to call Tourney Tip-Off. I'm going to give some quick hits about the tournament before I give you some upsets and predictions later on in the show. First off, the top four seeds. No surprise whatsoever. North Carolina, Villanova, Gonzaga, and the Kansas Jayhawks. On the 2 line, we got Arizona. Good job, Wildcats. I can't stand you, but you deserve it. Duke, Blue Devils. I'm not drinking the Duke Kool-Aid that everyone else is, especially Jay Billis. We also got on the 2 line, Kentucky and Louisville. Kentucky's a little bit of a surprise at the 2 seed, being that the SEC was a little weak this year, but Louisville deserved the 2 seed, especially if Duke did. And on the 3 line, we got 2 Pac-12 foes. The Oregon Ducks, the UCLA Bruins, go Bruins. We also got Florida State, and at the final 3, we got Baylor. A couple other little tidbits. Wichita State ranked number 10 and have to face number 7 Dayton. That's BS. Wichita, if you watch Wichita State, they're better than a 10. If you would have flipped the seeds, I would have had no problem having Wichita as a 7 and Dayton as a 10. Now if they win, they got to play Kentucky in the second round, and that's not fair. Everyone else is complaining that Syracuse did not get in to the tourney, but USC did. I call bullshit. Do I think USC deserved to get in? Maybe, maybe not. I am a Pac-12 fan, but I'm not a USC fan. I'm not sure if they should have got in. But the resume of Syracuse did not prove that they should have got in. So having USC get in over Syracuse, I have no problem with. Get over it, America. Let's get to the fun part of the tournament. The first 2 days where there's upsets galore. What are the upsets going to be this year? Is there going to be a 2 against a 15 upset? Is there going to be how many 5s are going to lose to 12s? How many 4s are going to lose to 13s? I got a couple right off the bat that I love. Put this in your bracket or not, I don't care. But I'm picking East Tennessee State Buccaneers to beat the Florida Gators. I'm also picking at the 12-5 line, Middle Tennessee State to beat the Minnesota Gophers. On a mini upset, I got Seton Hall at the 9 line, beating Arkansas on the 8 line. I also got Xavier on the 11, upsetting Maryland. The Big Ten is a little overrated this year, and Xavier, being out of the Big East, upsetting Maryland will prove it. That's one upset I'm pretty sure on. Another upset that I touched about earlier, I have Wichita on the 10, beating Dayton. A few more upsets. On a very mini upset, I got 9 Vanderbilt Commodores beating the Northwestern Wildcats, who are making their appearance in the NCAAs for the very first time in the history of the program. I also have Creighton, the number 6 seed, losing to the Rhode Island Rams out of the A-10. And I also have Marquette beating the South Carolina Gamecocks. Yes, the USC of the East is going to lose. Now that we've gone over the first round of upsets that I have going on, I'll be honest. I don't know who I want to win the whole thing. I know I want UCLA. If I pick with my heart, it would be UCLA every single year. And I would lose my brackets every single year. But being realistic, let's go into the depth of the bracket a little bit. And here we go. Let's do this. For the Final Four, in my opinion, there is no way 2 of the number 1s are going to make it. I could see North Carolina making it, and I can see Kansas Jayhawks making it. But in my honest opinion, Villanova will not make it to the Final Four, and Gonzaga is going to lose and not make it to the Final Four. At all. Neither one have a chance. Who do I think they're going to lose to? Stay tuned to the next segment and we'll find out who the upsets are for the number 1 seeds. Alright, who are the 2 number 1 seeds that are not going to make it to the Final Four going to lose to? I'm talking about Gonzaga and Villanova. Let's start off with the Bulldogs of Gonzaga. I haven't made this public yet with anybody I know, but this is what I think. Gonzaga's going to make it pretty far, but they're going to lose in the Sweet 16 to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Hear it first. Notre Dame's going to upset the Gonzaga Bulldogs, and they're going to face the Arizona Wildcats in the Elite Eight. 2 against 5 in the West bracket. So I said that Villanova was not going to make it out of the East. Well, that's what I think. But who are they going to face? You hear it first. I hate to say this because I can't stand them. They're going to have a hard test. But I'm picking the Duke Blue Devils to go to the Final Four out of the East bracket. Alright, let's get more in depth about the matchups in the Eastern bracket. I already told you who I think is going to make it, but let's see how I get there. Little cheat sheet back. Villanova is going to face Wisconsin in the second round. Virginia is going to win and have to face East Tennessee State with a big upset of Florida in the first round. I got SMU on the 6th seed upsetting Baylor as a 3. And I also have Marquette at a 10 facing Duke and losing to Duke. In the Sweet 16, I really haven't completely made up my mind, but let's do it right here, on air, on camera. Villanova is going to face Virginia in the Sweet 16. I'm going to have SMU facing Duke. So in their sense, I'm going to have Villanova beating Virginia and Duke beating SMU. And like I said earlier, Duke, unfortunately, is going to another Final Four. Final Four! Welcome back. I got my handy dandy cheat sheet back. Now let's talk about the good old Midwest bracket with the Kansas Jayhawks as the number 1 seed. Do I think there's a chance they can make it to the Final Four? Yes, I do. Let's break it down, and I'll tell you what I think. In the second round, I have Kansas going to be facing number 8, Miami. Iowa State is going to be facing Purdue, who I think is the most talented, and the team I have the most trust in the Big Ten, which I think is weak this year. Oregon, who I can't stand, is going to face Rhode Island in the upset there. Michigan's going to face Louisville. In the round of 16, we're going to have Kansas versus Purdue. Kansas is going to win that. And we're going to have Oregon facing Louisville. Louisville's going to win. Oregon is good. They got Brooks, but they got a guy out, Boucher. He's out. So it's going to be Louisville and Kansas in the Elite Eight. And you heard it first. Kansas is the first number 1 seed of this year's Final Four. Alright, let's do this. Let's talk about the Dirty South bracket with North Carolina on the top with the number 1 seed and Kentucky at the number 2 seed. I told you about a few upsets, but let's go through the second round matchups. I have North Carolina playing the Seton Hall, who I thought was going to beat Arkansas at number 8. Middle Tennessee State is going to upset Minnesota. Who are they going to play? Butler or Winthrop? Winthrop is on fire. Butler's on fire. Butler has beat Villanova twice this year. So what do you think I'm going to pick? Yes, Butler. Butler versus Middle Tennessee State. We got the Cincinnati Bearcats, who are going to be playing one of the teams from the play-in games. They're going to be playing UCLA. And Wichita State, who's going to upset Dayton, is going to fight against the Kentucky Wildcats. And the next round, North Carolina is easily going to beat Seton Hall. They're going to face Butler. I'm not sold on that, but they're going to beat Butler. UCLA is going to fight against Kentucky. I thought about picking Wichita State, but I'm staying with Kentucky. So, in the Elite Eight, it's going to come down to, you heard it, I'm picking with my heart, but I'm going to do it. UCLA versus North Carolina. And who am I going to pick? North Carolina. I think they're too much for the Bruins. The Bruins have the scoring, but North Carolina is going to be a little bit too tough. If I was picking only with my heart, I'd be picking the UCLA Bruins. Before I tell you who I think is going to win the Final Four matchups and win the national championship of 2017, let's get a couple things straight. This thing never works. There's always a couple upsets. There's always a couple teams that are lower seeds that can get to a Sweet 16, maybe Elite 8. If you want to talk about who I think has a chance to pull those off, let's give a couple things straight. If for some reason, I did not pick them, but if for some reason Winthrop can beat Butler, watch for them to make it to the Sweet 16 by beating Middle Tennessee State. Notre Dame has a chance to go to the Final Four. I think they have a real shot to beat Arizona because I definitely think they're going to beat Gonzaga. Then they'll face Arizona in the Elite Eight and give them a run for their money. Another team that you can see making a run for it, dealing with my handy little cheat sheet, is Xavier. I'm not sold on Florida State. Florida State's a number 3. I think they should be a 4 or 5. If they're a number 3, UCLA's a number 2, and Arizona should be a number 1. But that's a whole nother subject. Xavier can make it to the Sweet 16, and there's a somewhat of a chance that I think maybe Wichita State can beat Kentucky and get to a Sweet 16 to play UCLA, which they would lose. But, needless to say, upsets are going to happen. Could it be the year that a 16 beats a 1? Nope, not this year. The top 4 seeds are pretty damn good. Well, let's see. After this break, we will give my predictions for this year's Final Four. So I got 2 number 1 seeds and 2 number 2 seeds in my Final Four. Will it happen? Probably not. It never does. It never happens like you think it's going to happen. There will be a number 4 seed or a 5 or a 6. If there's a 5 seed in the Final Four, I'm calling it that it's going to be Notre Dame. I almost picked them to beat Arizona, but I just couldn't. But what's my predictions for the Final Four? Being a UCLA fan, it's hard to say, but we're going to do this. Let's do it. Arizona is going to beat Duke in the semifinal and go against who? North Carolina or Kansas? North Carolina's got Barry and Meeks and Hicks and Jackson. And Kansas has got Jackson and Mason. A couple other guys that are pretty good. I am going to pick right here. I'm picking for the first. I haven't said it yet. Kansas Jayhawks are going to beat North Carolina Tar Heels. So it's going to be the Kansas Jayhawks and the Arizona Wildcats. And I'm picking it, I hate to say it, Arizona is going to be your NCAA champions of 2017. Until next time, peace out.